Hey guys, today we are going to be talking about something that is really close to my heart and is so important for so many dog owners, and that has to do with this door right here. A lot of people have trouble with their dogs barging out the doors or rushing the doors when guests come over, or, possibly running out the door and then running into the street. And I've heard horror stories about people's dogs who have been hit by cars, who have passed away, all of these horrible things. So I really wanted to make this video to help educate dog owners, and show them that there is a way that we can prevent this and we can stop it, or we can just improve it in general. So, and that is waiting at doorways. You can use your boundary. I don't know how much you can see, but you can use one of the boundaries as a way to keep the dogs away from doorways, especially if guests come into your house, which I have made a video on in the past. So go check out that video. But I also want to talk about actually waiting at doorways, because it's not feasible to have 4 beds in your house like I have in mine. Or even possibly maybe you have a smaller living room, so you can't have any beds in your living room. So I wanted to make this video to make it more accessible for as many people as possible. First thing you'll need is your dog on a leash, especially if you are doing this with your front door. For videoing purposes, I am using my front door, but it might be easier to teach your dog in a doorway that's not as dangerous. So possibly like a bedroom doorway, or maybe out into your garage, or to your backyard, a fenced-in backyard, or anything like that. I actually highly encourage people, once they start training waiting at doorways, to have your dogs wait at all doorways all the time. So that would include my backyard doors, my garage door, and my front door, especially all doors that are exterior, so they go to the outside. I'm going to be realistic. I don't ask my dogs to wait for a door if I'm trying to go into the bathroom. That just doesn't happen. But every time I let my dogs outside into the backyard, I ask them to sit and wait. And then they get released one at a time. And that further builds cooperation within multi-dog households. It reaffirms the waiting at doorways. It does so many things. I feel like I'm blabbering, so let's go ahead and get into the training. I have my treat pouch here. I have some kibble in one pocket, I have some treats in another pocket, and I have a clicker in my last pocket. If I can show you both ways, I probably will. I just like to keep my clicker in my pocket just in case something happens, it's loud. The dogs tend to tune in better to the clicker than my voice sometimes, and that's okay, it happens. Thanks, buddy. All right, when I go to my door, I'm going to ask my dog to sit. He's already sitting, so I am just going to grab the door handle. He stood up, so that is a no, sit. And since I had to correct the sit by saying no, that does not get a reward. So I'm going to try it again. Yes, and treat. So that time I grabbed the door handle, I turned it, he remained sitting, so that was a yes and a treat. Try it again. Yes. Yes. Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to kind of up the ante and make it a little bit more difficult. Yes. So I just opened the door slightly, hardly at all, and that is good enough to make some dogs want to bolt out the doorway, especially him a couple of months ago even, when he was still learning this. Sit. Yes. 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 A lot of dogs it gets really tricky for a lot of dogs once the door comes past them and they have full access to run, which is why we have our dogs on leash, but also why we put so much emphasis in this beginning portion and slowly bringing the door more and more open. Yes. Now Gus is just barely over a year. He is a service dog in training. Yes. Black lab, obviously. Oops. Good. Yes. And we can play around with how far open the door is, how long we wait for them to stay before we release them out the door. We can, or before we close the door again, we can leave the door open while we reward and see how that goes. You can play with this in so many different ways. So let's see. Sit. Yes. Let's see what happens when I leave the door open and reward him. Yes. Good. So I do want to say, because this is not going to go this well, and honestly, I did not expect it to go this well with Gus. I tried to pick a hard dog, but he is proving to be my stellar student for today. If your dog does go for the door, that would be a no, your little verbal correction, and you would close the door. So I'm going to try and see. No, and close the door. And that was kind of my fault because I encouraged him to do it. Your dog won't do that. But anyways, if your dog does go for the door, you have them on leash in case they do slip out so they can't go anywhere. But the goal is to close the door before they get out. Gonna play with duration. Yes. You can see he was very much so anticipating going out the door. So once we get to the point where our dogs are okay with just sitting there right next to you, we can play with us moving out the door without them and them remaining seated, and then also us walking out together. This is definitely something I have not worked on with Gus, so it'll be interesting to see. Sit. Yes. I made that very, very easy for him because I saw the second that I started going forward, he was going to go forward as well. So I wanted to make it easy for him and successful for him as well. So let's go ahead and make it easier. Yes. I like to bounce back and forth between super easy repetitions and more difficult repetitions so that the dog is continuing to be engaged and not getting discouraged or anything like that. Yes. Sometimes if we keep making it harder and harder and harder on our dogs, then they can start to get discouraged by more and more failure as the rules increase. Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. Now I'm going to ask my dog to come with me as we go out the door together. We'll see how this goes. Heel. Yes, good boy. So he walked out with me perfectly and is no longer trying to dart out even with this door wide open. That's everything that I want, everything that we dream of, right? All right, good boy. I would not go through all of these sessions at one time. I would take it step by step, day by day, session by session, break it up with some play in between. Give your dog breaks so that they can absorb everything that they are learning. Sometimes it takes dogs a little while to fully comprehend new things, and taking a nap or doing some enrichment really helps solidify that learning for them. So take your time with this. It can be really difficult for some dogs, and some dogs may catch on to it really, really quickly. So last time, sit. Let's go. Yes, good boy. Or even, oh, watch out, buddy. Watch out. Watch that step. Sit. Yes. Good. Oops. So here would be my, I don't like the term correction because I'm not really correcting him, but I kind of am. So he stood up because he thought we were going to go together. That's okay. I just said my whoops or no. And I came back, I closed the door, and we're going to reset. No worries. I'm going to make it easier on him. Yes. Just means he wasn't ready or he hasn't had enough practice doing those, which honestly he hasn't. This is one of the first times he's done something like this. So last rep. Yes, good boy. And that's it. Gus will call it a day here. And I'm going to finish the session for him with a little tiny scatter feed. I'm just going to scatter a little bit of food on the ground and let him eat it up as fast or as slow as he would like. He's a lab, so he's going to chomp it down for sure. If you guys have any questions or anything, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, any of those. I will have those linked below. And I hope you really enjoyed this video and learned something new. Have a good one, guys. Keep on training.